Hello everyone and welcome to EduTap. So guys, we're back with another session for Himachal Pradesh Administrative Services for the mains exam for the year 2021. And this is English language, and in this topic we'll be discussing report writing. So guys, you very well know how important this section is, this exam is. The English part, it holds 100 marks for your mains exam. So you should work really hard for this, and this will definitely pay you off in the long run. So without any further ado, let's jump into the session, guys. Now, first of all, we need to understand the bifurcation of the marks. There are five sections. Number one, grammar. Number two, vocabulary. Number three, your articulation of report or a letter or an application. Then fourth is your comprehension of unseen passage, and fifth is your précis writing. So guys, we have already discussed grammar. We've discussed a few vocabulary questions. Then we discussed précis writing. Then we discussed letter writing in the previous session, and in this session we'll be discussing report writing. Guys, please make sure that you note down the structure and the sequence. It will be really helpful for your preparation. So take out your pen and notebook and get ready. So guys, first of all, you need to understand the definition of a report. Now, a report is a written account of something that one has observed, heard, done, or investigated. It is a systematic and well organized presentation of facts and findings of an event that has already taken place somewhere. Reports are used as a form of written assessment to find out what you have learned from your reading, research, or experience, and to give you experience of an important skill that is widely used in the workplace. If you remember, guys, when we were young, we were made to write reports on annual day or annual function or sports day in your school, or a blood donation camp that has been organized by a Red Cross Society, remember? So that is what a report basically looks like. You should understand what are the basics of a report, and then there are certain things that you need to remember for report writing. Now, first of all, we need to understand what types of report may be given to you. So there are basically two types of reports: informational reports and analytical reports. So I'll read out the definition of both to you and what's the difference. An informational report provides a summary of information and data found on a particular topic. One such report is the expense report. This report is a set of information that is used to request allocation of funds. Example, decision making reports, policy reports, status reports. Then second type is analytical reports, where you analyze something, right? So in an analytical report, information is researched and collected, and then the report provides an analysis that leads to one or more recommendations. Example, investigation reports, progress reports. So we'll discuss both types, and you should understand the do's and don'ts and the structure of report. So what are the key points of a report? So guys, whenever you are writing a report, always stick to third person narrative. So what is third person narrative, guys? You do not include first person or second person here. You basically follow third person perspective. What is third person perspective? You basically you write the report as if you are an observer. So for example, if you're writing a report on your, let's say, for example, what example was given to you, the expense report. So you will be writing the allocation of funds of rupees 1.5 crore has been bifurcated and segregated into three sections, and the three sections have been discussed below. So you will be writing as if you're a third person, you're only observing. Second is always use past tense, because reports are written for an instance of past, right? Unless you are given specifically, for example, if you're given to write a report of itinerary details of a trip that you have planned in future, unless you are asked about a report in future, you should write your report in past tense. Third, the report must be simple and straightforward. Avoid using superfluous English and exaggerated narration. It should be very condensed. It should be very discreet, right? You should not elaborate anything in your report. It should be, factual and relatable to the topic. Then divide your ideas into multiple sentences rather than one long sentence. That is the best part. Use bullet points. That makes the report very effective. Then try to keep the report as factually correct as possible. And last, keep the report brief. So these are the important key points of a report. Then what a report should include. A well-written report must possess the following traits. Number one, adherence to the specifications of report brief. Second, analysis of relevant information. Third, structuring material in a logical and coherent order. Fourth, presentation of consistent in a presentation in a consistent manner according to the instructions of the report brief. And fifth, making appropriate conclusions that are supported by the evidence and analysis of the report. So see, guys, adherence to specifications. That means if you are asked to write a report on the, let's say if you are asked to write a report on the bad situation of dengue cases in your area. So you should stick to dengue. If you are talking about COVID-19 there, that would be wrong. Then analysis of relevant information. I mean, the information that you are analyzing in the report should be relevant to the topic. Structuring material in a logical and coherent order. You should know how to start a report. Then introduction paragraph where you provide a brief summary. Then you start with the details of the report, which is called the body, and then you conclude with the appropriate conclusions and relevant information. So I'll show you what I mean. So guys, this is, first of all, you should note down the format of a report. You should understand these are the key points of a report. You start your report by starting with the designation of the writer. Like for example, who has written the report? The editor or the chief manager, or let's say the executive officer. So whosoever you are, then you have to start your report with your title. Second, you follow it by date, whichever date you are writing it on, and separated by a line. You put a line blank here. Then you start with the title of the report. The title should be written here, whatever the report is about. Then first paragraph, your brief summary, then body, then conclusion, and then recommendations, actions or decisions taken should be mentioned at the end. So that is the structure of a format of a report that you should follow. Number one, designation of the writer. That means your designation, date, title, introduction, body, conclusion, and then recommendations, actions or decisions taken. So guys, let's look at an example. For example, if a report has been written by marketing team of an XYZ organization. So you start your report by using by, let's say marketing head or marketing team XYZ organization, then date, then separated by one line gap, then title, annual business report financial year 2018 and 19. So that should be your title, very discreet, very condensed. Then you give the summary, and guys, whichever part is marked in red, you don't have to actually write it in the paper. It is already understood. I'm just writing it there to just make it clear to you. So first paragraph summary, the summary should contain the purpose of the report, number one. Number two, what did you analyze and what you found, the results and your recommendations. So it should be a brief summary. That should be a first paragraph. These recommendations should be short and not go beyond a page, or if you're writing a very long report, or a few lines. If you're writing a report in, let's say 150 or 200 words. So let's say if you are writing a report within 250 words, so it should be a few lines only. Then you start with an introduction. This part introduces the reader to your report, sets the purpose in place, and broadly plates out the content of your entire document. Then followed by body. This part contains the details of the report. Throughout your report, keep breaking points and starting off new logical thought with a numbered and subheading. So using bullet points and number is very important in a report. Tables and figures must all be labeled if you are using tables and figures, but that is for professional reports. In your paper, you don't need to make any tables or figures. Then last part, conclusion. This part concludes the report with required details and then followed by actions or decisions taken. So let's look at a sample report, guys. As the human resources manager, write a report to examine the high turnover rate of employees at a corporation. Let's say this is the scenario given to you to write in your paper, right? So you start with this by HR department, date, then you start with the title, high turnover rate of employees. Then you give a brief introduction to your report. GHS Corporation has been operating for 10 years. It employs 200 people, with most of the employees tasked with processing fee for insurance clients. Despite operating in a region with substantial unemployment, the annual turnover has been between 60 to 65% every year. Now, what are the findings? Then you don't have to mention this. Then you can just switch to paragraph and then you can write this. The most significant issue found by the HR team when interviewing staff was the lack of support to new mothers who require childcare services to be able to come to work. Employees mentioned their frustration at not having an in-house childcare system that could help them continue working. Second, another issue mentioned by the staff was the lack of communication between employees and upper management. They expressed their concerns about receiving inconsistent and late instructions. They shared how they didn't know the main business objectives, and which led them to lose interest in the company and their jobs. So what are the conclusions? Then you switch a paragraph. You don't have to mention conclusions. This is just given for your understanding. You don't have to write it in the actual paper. So you switch the paragraph and what do you write? The main issues that we found were as follows: lack of support to new mothers in regard to childcare, and lack of communication between the staff and upper management. Then what are the recommendations? You don't have to write it, just switch a paragraph. To address these two main issues, we recommend the following steps be taken. Number one, an in-house childcare center can be established at minimal cost to GHS, encouraging mothers to return to work. Second, each department should choose an employee ambassador to represent their interests of the staff in management meetings. The ambassador can express concerns and relay outcomes to their teams to increase engagement, right? That would make logical sense. So this is what a report should look like, right? Let's look at another example. For example, you are given this topic, and this topic was given in one of the previous year exams. As the secretary of an NGO, write a report to an adult literacy camp on an adult literacy camp organized recently in your area. So you start with by PV Sunitha, secretary. Then you start with date 19 February 2021, whatever it is. Then title adult literacy camp. And this is how you write a simple report. Adult literacy camp was organized on 19 February 2021 by Cultural Society. The event started with the welcome speech for the chief guest, Mrs. Rani, a renowned social activist. Then the main objective of the camp was to bring awareness to adults who have crossed the age limit of formal education and are searching for an opportunity to study. Around 400 people participated in the camp, and these people were divided into 6 groups based on their interest. That was the that is the introduction paragraph. Then people who belong to a particular group of interest were asked to assemble in their respective areas. All the rooms were established with seating chairs and blackboards. There were around 30 volunteers who guided the participants to assemble in their respective areas. Then the volunteers spent at least 4 hours teaching the basics of reading and writing to adults. Free stationery was also distributed by the chief guest to the participants along with the participation certificate. The camp witnessed the learning and growth of adults together, which ended with a positive note. So this is how you basically write a report, guys. So this is what your report should look like. All right, so guys, that was everything about report writing. You can practice more about report writing on your own. And if you wish to contact us for anything, guys, please feel free to do so. You can contact us on this number 8146207241, or you can also drop us an email at hello@edutap.co.in, and this is our website www.edutap.co.in. So guys, I hope this session was useful for your preparation. This was beneficial for your understanding of what report writing looks like. What are the necessary details of a report and how you should frame a report, what type of language should be used, and not very elaborative or fancy English. Keep it to the point, but mention all the necessary details. So you have to create the scenario in your head before you start writing a report, and for that you have to practice a few scenarios on your own. So guys, thank you so much for joining in the session, and thank you so much for giving us your precious time. So guys, I wish you all the very best for your endeavors in life. Keep up the good work, and happy learning to all of you guys.